name is Laura, and today I would really like to introduce to you a very important tree species, and that is the white-bark pine. It is a native species to North America, and it is found in the mountainous regions of Western USA and Canada as well. Now within Canada, there are 7 national parks that you can visit where you can see white-bark pine, and those do include Mount Revelstoke, Glacier, Jasper, Banff, Kootenay, Yoho, and Waterton Lakes as well. They are a member of the white pine group, meaning that their needle bundles are in groups of 5. So it's a good way to ID them. Now the general appearance varies depending on where you find them and where they are growing. Sometimes they might look something a little like this photo here. Very large, very tall, and have a broad crown and a thick trunk, maybe reaching heights of 29 meters. They are, however, a subalpine species, meaning that they grow right about here on a mountainside. So they are able to withstand very poor soil conditions and very harsh weather environments as well. Because of that, if they're found in an open or exposed area, their appearance might look something a little bit more like this, where they are growing in a stunted growth or closer to the ground, and they have a very windswept appearance to them. Now, the white-bark pine is considered a keystone species, which means that a lot of other species in the ecosystems largely depend on them for their survival, and if they are lost within an ecosystem, it is greatly felt. Now, the primary reason that a white-bark pine is a keystone species is for their valued food source and their protein-rich seeds that are about the size of little seeds. Species that are supported by these seeds include the Clark's nutcracker, the chickadees, red squirrels, grizzly, and black bears. The other reason that they are considered a keystone species is their role that they play in protecting watersheds. Now, up in the high alpine environments that they grow in, they offer shade from their branches to the snow that's accumulated on the mountain. If there was a loss of white-bark pine on the mountainside, snow accumulation would be different, and in the springtime, a lot more of it would melt at a quicker pace and potentially cause flooding downstream and also a lot of soil erosion. Unfortunately, the white-bark pine is at risk for survival in the natural environments due to 4 major threats. The first is a fungal disease known as white pine blister rust. It was introduced in the 20th century and is now widespread across North America. The spread of infection within a pine stand is very dependent on the number of pine trees available, but also the alternate host that the fungus requires, which is currants or gooseberry shrubs, in order for the fungus to make its full life cycle. Now, when it's affecting a white-bark pine at the end stage, these red blisters will start developing on the tree and cracks will be seen as it's killing the tree. The second major threat that is being faced with the white-bark pine survival is due to human interaction into the environment. For well over a decade, fire suppression was the main approach when dealing with wildlife fires in the natural environment. Unfortunately, white-bark pine requires natural disturbances such as fires to clean out a stand in order for them to regenerate. Without that disturbance occurring, it has now allowed for more shade-tolerant species such as the subalpine fir to become mature and take over that ecosystem. The third major threat that the white-bark pine is facing is one that many other species are facing as well, and that's climate change. Now, as the climate becomes warmer in the mountainous regions where the white-bark pine reside, the zones where they can kind of fit in are moving higher in elevation. Now, unfortunately, the white-bark pine is a slow species. It takes a while to establish itself in an area, and it does take a bit for it to reach reproductive maturity as well, so it might not be able to adapt to the pace that climate change is occurring. So what is being done about all of these threats that is facing the white-bark pine? Well, for starters, in 2010, it was listed as an endangered species by COSWIC, and in 2012, it was also listed as an endangered species under the Species at Risk Act. Now, because of these listings, a recovery plan is now put into place with certain objectives, and that is upheld by the federal government. Some of these recovery strategies do include identifying tree individuals that seem to have a resistance to the fungal disease, the white pine blister rust, and collecting their seeds so that we can maintain a healthy population. Another strategy does include the increase of prescribed burning in areas where it's ideal habitat for mountain pine beetles to take over, but that are close to unaffected stands of whitebark pine.